Greetings! Welcome to Nina's World. This podcast provides a short respite from the trials and tribulations of everyday life. We're going to step back in time to the 1950s and 60s. And now, our story. Nina loses a summer. No, I don't want to. Such a great day. Sunny, but not too hot. The breeze rattling tree branches was cool, and Nina won the race home from the playground. She liked to run, and it felt good to do so after her illness. But then, as she passed the mailbox, Nina started gasping for breath, leaning over to grasp above her knees, the weight on her chest increasing, her siblings surrounding her, calling out to get help, a mishmash of voices, and then, although the doctor had said to take it easy, it had felt uplifting to run wild, free, like she was a bird flying, a doe dancing in the meadow, like her brother dashing to home base. Nina buckled to the ground, crouching, could feel the grass on her face. It was prickly. She tried again, sucking air, but to no avail. A sudden slap on her back, hands under her armpits. Nina was being lifted. Nina, on her knees, could hear her father's voice. "You can do it, Nina. Don't try too hard. Just take a breath. Please, please take a breath." More voices as her eyes and head lolled backwards. Nina's mouth opened wider. Someone was raising her arms above her head. Air. Her chest expanded just a little. Air. It felt good. Air in her lungs. Air. Nina took a breath, urged on by people around her. She took another, more air. Again, Nina opened her eyes, lifted her head. A cup of water was being offered. "Take a sip, Nina, only a sip." The water was cool, refreshing. She wanted to drink more, but it was lifted away. Nina was being told to take it easy, to take another breath, to calm down. Given another sip, hearing a voice saying she would be okay. Now being lifted by strong arms, Nina wondered who was carrying her. The screen door opening, a voice reassuring her the worst was over. She had tried too hard for a little girl on her first day outdoors. It started with a family trip to the ocean, the beach, the jumping of waves, and the being knocked over by them too. Nina and her siblings digging in the sand, chasing seagulls, imitating their cries. Each child swaddled in suntan lotion and chapstick. Lunch was bologna and cheese sandwiches on snowflake rolls. That signaled that the day was special, but for no special reason. Down the beach, a short distance, a large pipe emptying into the ocean, a cautionary warning to stay away from it, which neither Nina nor Paul, her oldest brother, saw. Splashing each other, spitting out water, pushing hair off their foreheads. What could go wrong? As the sun was gliding towards the western horizon, everyone used the booths with showers and changed in the clean clothes. Then another treat, eating at Howard Johnson's before heading home. Everyone drowsy after the long, active day, but Nina more so, feeling hot, stomach upset, could not even be tempted to eat the orange gelatin with a dab of whipped cream. Her mother saying, "Someone has had too much sun. You'll feel better after cold cream on any sunburn and a good night's sleep. The next day, Paul and Nina were both lethargic. Paul not going to scouts, and Nina not doing anything, not even pestering her sisters except for a glass of water. Rosa placed her hand on Nina's forehead. She went to their mother, asking her to check too. A minute later, a thermometer under Nina's tongue and a call to the doctor led to a bring her in right now appointment. Nina was wobbly as she walked, her older brother, Martin, picking her up, placing her in the back seat. Rosa saying she'll hold down the fort as her parents backed out of the driveway. Nina was never sick. What could have happened? Paul was feeling better, but the other siblings didn't go for the walk they had planned, decided to wait until Nina and their parents returned. No one even opened a book or sneaked into the kitchen cabinet to swipe a cookie. They didn't know what to think. It was all so unexpected. Why the children didn't even go to the doctor when the bumps appeared. Instead, Dr. Bartelt made a house call, telling their mom that each child would probably get the chickenpox, to use a certain lotion, and to tell the children it would only be worse if they scratched. Well, he was right about everything. About an hour later, the car pulled into the driveway, the children hurrying outside. Nina was being lifted from the car, their parents saying little as everyone returned to the house. Nina was put on a bed of a small couch away from her siblings, medicine given, a glass of water on the side table. Everyone was waiting for an explanation. Their dad saying that they would watch Nina for a day, give her juice and gelatin and broth, would call Dr. Bartelt immediately if she seemed to get worse. They made that call the next day, trying not to sound frightened in front of the other children. Dr. Bartelt arrived, checked the chart their mom had kept of Nina's fever, listened to Nina's lungs, listened again, front and back, asking if he could use their phone, checked a number in his directory, made an appointment. Nina would be seen by a specialist the following morning. The room in the hospital where the doctor worked smelled sharp and unpleasant. Lots of questions asked, when symptoms started, where they had been, and then blood was drawn, x-rays taken, with a request for immediate results. Nina was half asleep, but her parents were alert as they waited in the room. Voices but no words could be heard through the door. They didn't even try cheerful conversation, just cradled Nina and pushed the hair away from her face. A century later, the doctor and a colleague returned with papers and dour expressions. We're going to do more tests, but we think Nina has gotten a lung infection, probably due to pollutants in the ocean. Your daughter will need complete rest as well as medication, and it would probably be best if she stayed in the hospital a few weeks. Had a thunderbolt smashed through the window, Nina's parents would have been no less startled. Both began to ask questions, and the doctor put up his hands like a crossing guard. He continued, "We know this is not what you're expecting, and frankly, it wasn't what we thought we would find. But we may have to consult a doctor that deals with infectious diseases." Nina, half awake, whispered, "I don't want to. I don't want hospital. Home, I want to go home. Nina's mother was standing now. No, no, you are not keeping Nina here. She's too young to be away from home. We can care for her. We can give her medicine. We can give her care as good, maybe better at home. Nina's dad, still holding Nina, stood up, took his wife's hand, led her back to the chair. He was looking at the doctors with a painful expression they were all too familiar with when bad news had to be shared. Nina's father tried to calm the situation. Let's hear more about what is needed. Dr. Loftus, Nina must get well. She must. Please tell us what to do and we will do it, but please, may we do it at home. His words drifted off, and Dr. Loftus also sat down, cleared his throat, and began. Several minutes later, he paused, looked at the family, and then the other doctor, as if those two could share their thoughts without speaking. The second doctor nodding his head. Dr. Loftus expressed a decision. We know you have many other children who also need your care. That's why we suggested hospitalization. But we can try the treatment at home since the important tasks are the medication and rest. No exertion while her lungs heal, and probably no exertion for months to come. Can you guarantee that? Nina's parents looked at each other, nodding in agreement, even though they didn't know how they were going to manage to keep Nina still once she was feeling like herself again. It was a long, quiet, hour-plus ride home. Such a long, quiet summer for Nina, and for her siblings too, as they tiptoed around whatever room Nina was in so as not to disturb her. Older sisters took turns reading to Nina each day, even if she fell asleep before the story was over. The frequent teaspoons of medicine were a burden Nina had to endure. Younger sisters came to visit, to ask how she was feeling, or to give her a get well card that they had made. As weeks passed, Nina was awake, more than asleep, sitting up for longer periods of time and beginning to eat small amounts of whatever food had been made for dinner. And instead of being carried upstairs to her bedroom each night, Nina would take one step, sit, another step, sit, until she could do it all by herself, stopping every third step and then every fourth step. Third grade would be starting soon. Nina wanted to go, wanted to be like her siblings, wanted to be well. The doctors had been amazed at her continued progress, wondering if being at home with her family was what made the difference. After another round of blood work and x-rays, Nina was given permission to walk outside as long as she was with her siblings in case she became weak. Nina had been with her siblings the day she ran home from the park, and, well, truth be told, she did not race a long distance ahead of them. She only ran as they crossed the street to the front yard because Nina wanted to be home first. That was all it took for her to double over, to feel as if she were being strangled as she gasped for air. Nina had begun to panic, and, well, you know what happened next. In late August, Nina's mother met with Miss Garrison, the principal, and with Mrs. Cronin, the school nurse, explaining the situation, giving them reports from the doctors and saying, Nina really wants to be in school, really wants to be in third grade. You know how she loves to learn. Miss Garrison and Mrs. Cronin assured Nina's mom that the staff would take precautions and told her that third grade would be a banner year for Nita, as long as she followed the doctor's instructions to walk, not run, remain as calm as possible, as long as no difference how she felt at that given moment, Nina didn't act like Nita. The end. Thank you for visiting with us today. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to this podcast and share it with everyone you know. Return next week for another story from Nina's World. This story was written and read by Christine McKee, with gratitude to Dr. Ethel Ratkin of Bucks County Community College for editorial consultation and encouragement. Additional heartfelt support from family, friends, and members of my writing groups. Technical support was provided by Mr. Dan Tarrant of Personally Catholic. Sound engineering by Mr. Andrew Kimlock of AK Productions. May you embrace peace in your heart, in your home, and in your world.